Fallout continues against Boeing and Alaska following a door plug coming off of a 737 MAX 9 aircraft midair. 4 passengers who were on the flight are now suing both of those companies. The lawsuit alleges that Boeing and Alaska Airlines were both negligent in the lead up to the incident, which the passengers say resulted in physical pain, fear, anxiety, and trauma. Now, this is the second lawsuit that filed against Boeing. Right now, many are wondering just how far this case will actually go.
Yeah, our 9 News legal analyst Whitney Traylor joins us this morning to break things down. This is really not surprising that some of the passengers are filing a lawsuit. I mean, that is such a scary situation. What type of litigation are we going to see here?
This is such a scary situation. I mean, in this current age of traveling, it's already just stressful, period. And there's so many things that are happening, weather and otherwise. So this has got to be terrifying. In every case, as I've said on here many times before, boils down to 2 things, liability and damages. So here, liability is going to be pretty easy to prove. The door blew off. It should not have done that.
Right.
So now the question is the damages. And damages can be emotional distress, psychological, physical, all of these things. So here, you're going to have, so the compensatory damages are to make them whole, the time they missed work, the wages they missed, all those kind of things. Then you can account for the emotional and physical. Some people had bleeding ears and all these other things, it was alleged. Then there's punitive damages, and that's to punish them. And that's where the investigation really comes into play, because if they find that Boeing or Alaska Airlines knew about this stuff, or they were anticipating that it was going to be an issue, then that's where a jury, people like you and I, will come in and say, yes, we need to punish them so this doesn't happen again. So the punitive damages could be major.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this should not have happened. I think that's why it's so surprising, especially the fact that we have footage of it and hearing the accounts from people who were on board.
Yeah.
Because of that, a lot of people would think that this is kind of an open and shut case for the passengers. Does the airlines have any, or Boeing have any viable defense here?
Right, I like that question. And there's always a defense. Here, if they're saying, look, we have complete exposure on liability, they'd harp on damages and say, hey, the damages weren't that significant. But this is what's going to ultimately be what's called complex civil litigation. There's going to be so many different parties, because already they're suing Boeing and as the manufacturer and Alaska as the airlines, but they may sue the people who made the bolts, the manufacturers of that. So there could be a number of different parties, and so that's what you call complex civil litigation, and that's probably what we're heading for. Now, Boeing, they'll point to the manufacturer, the manufacturer's going to point back to them, but ultimately, I mean, they've sued for negligence, but there's a theory in negligence. Here's your Latin lesson for today, res ipsa loquitur, which basically means that the thing speaks for itself. So if the door was in their control, which it was, and they're saying, we don't know how it came off, or somebody else, they're saying it wouldn't have come off if there wasn't negligence of some sort, even if we can't specifically identify it. So this is a case that is ripe for settlement.
Everybody wants to shift the blame onto the next person. Yeah.
Correct.
Right, and I think that's why this is going to take a little while, and you were saying it's so complex because they have to look at not only Alaska, but you've got Boeing, and then it even goes down to the people who made the bolts, and so it's a huge investigation on it. That's
exactly right, and that'll be part of the civil suit. So all the lawyers will get a bunch of experts. Already the NTSB is doing an investigation. The FAA is involved, so that could lead to potential criminal charges or regulatory fines, and then the rest of the investigation from the plaintiffs may show other things.
We have just a few seconds left, but I think an important thing to wonder here is if all of this, we've heard a lot with air traffic control, but this specifically with plane manufacturing, is this a reflection of the safety standard guidelines that we're seeing within the airline industry?
That's a question. We don't know, because we know, I think you can see improvement, because in 2018 and 2019, I think the MAX 8s were having different issues, and they waited months or years before they did anything. Here, they're immediately checking. They're involved. This is where people say, government, get out of our business. But this is where they're needed, this type of regulation where they're going to come in and investigate. So I don't know, since Pete Buttigieg has been involved in the Department of Transportation, they've been very good as far as consumers, all the issues the airlines have been having in that regard. waiting on the tarmac and things like that. Here we're having safety issues, and so we saw all of them be grounded, so that's already a significant step.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, they grounded them right away and started inspecting them right away, so
Yeah.
it is a little bit different than how they've, treated it in the past.
Exactly. So we may see a change, and they did find some loose bolts on other planes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, this speaks to the importance and the need for that.
Yeah. Whitney, thank you.
Sure.